In Australia, and I suppose more broadly the West, we're obsessed with everyone being treated equally, no matter if it makes sense or not. Increasingly, we categorise certain people as being historically disadvantaged and deserving of more in order to achieve so-called equality. For example, just last week, federal Labor promises $500 million for women's health, including better access to long-term contraceptives. It's strange, they want to help women avoid pregnancy, while at the same time, Australia's birth rate hits rock bottom with severe consequences for economic future. With an all-time low of 1.5 children per woman, well below the 2.1 required to keep the population stable, the government responds to this by making it easier for women to not have children? It just seems counterproductive to me, although it's probably more about winning votes than anything else. In the name of equality, we declare things like 50% of engineers must be women. But why? Only a small percentage of women want to become engineers. Does it really matter that 90% of engineers are male? What about nurses? Does it matter that 88% of nurses in Australia are female? Personally, if I'm in hospital, I don't care who's looking after me, as long as they're qualified and know what they're doing. Does anybody really care that men don't make up 50% of the nursing workforce? Could it be that females on average are more interested in becoming nurses, while males on average are more interested in becoming engineers? Is that such a bad thing? 99% of plumbers are male. Should we be pushing for gender equality here? Canadian psychologist Jordan Peterson famously said on Australian TV, "If you hire 50% women engineers and 50% male engineers, then the women engineers are less qualified because the pool of engineers is lower among women." Think about it mathematically. If there's 10 times as many male engineers as there are female engineers, and you insist upon hiring 50-50, then obviously the degree to which the female engineers are proficient cannot be the same as the degree to which the male engineers are proficient. It's mathematically impossible. But unfortunately, our obsession with equality is leading to unintended discrimination. Well, unintended. I use that term loosely. This is the New South Wales Government anti-discrimination website. Thanks to a viewer for sending this in. As I said, in Australia, discrimination is considered bad, except current exemptions. Yes, you can apply to be exempt from discrimination, as long as it favours particular people. There are literally hundreds of exemptions here. They all have an expiry date, so that's kind of promising, I suppose. They can't just go on discriminating forever. For example, NBN Co Limited, the state-owned enterprise that operates Australia's national broadband network, they have an exemption to designate, advertise and recruit women only for the role of customer field technician trainee in pursuance of its target to reach 70% women recruits. That doesn't seem fair, does it? But it's legal, as well as 40% women in leadership positions. Another example, Australian airline Qantas have an exemption to advertise, designate and recruit roles for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander persons only in pursuance of a 3% Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander workforce participation rate. Some might argue that's somewhat fair, in that Aboriginal people make up approximately 3% of the Australian population, but then you could argue, should we have a certain percentage of Muslim workers? Should we have a certain percentage of workers who are ethnically Chinese? Should we have a certain percentage of workers who identify as cats? If not, why not? Comedian Jerry Seinfeld commented on all this percentage madness when an interviewer said, "I have noticed that your guests are mostly white males." Jerry retorted, "Oh, this really pisses me off. People think it's the census or something? I mean, have we got to represent the actual pie chart of America? Who cares? It's just funny. Funny is the world that I live in. You're funny? I'm interested. You're not funny? I'm not interested. I've no interest in gender or race or anything like that. But everyone else is kind of with their little calculations. Is this the exact right mix? You know, I think that's anti-comedy." I think he put that pretty well for being an off-the-cuff response. But of course, for some companies, the actual percentages are not enough. For example, the University of Newcastle wants a 3.9% participation rate for Aboriginal people. Actually, depending on the statistics you use, some sources say the actual rate is 3.8%, so perhaps you can forgive them. However, American multinational giant Procter and Gamble have an exemption to pursue a 5% Aboriginal workforce participation rate. The Art Gallery of New South Wales has a legal goal of 7% Aboriginal people, double the actual rate. St Vincent de Paul, 10%, almost triple the actual rate. We Care New South Wales, 50% Aboriginal workers. That's like 13 times the actual population percentage. Is there any limits to this legalised discrimination? Deadly Science Limited have a target of 70% Aboriginal employees. I don't know what Deadly Science do, but they sure do need a lot of Aboriginal scientists. But the Equality Award for the most disproportionate amount of legalised Aboriginal favouritism goes to the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council, who can legally employ Aboriginal people only to achieve their goal of 75%. Their Employment and Training Division actually has a higher percentage of 80%. Do you think I could create a company, the White Man Land Council, and apply for, I don't want to be greedy, to advertise, designate and recruit roles for male white people only in pursuance of its goal of a 20% male Caucasian workforce participation rate? Only 20%. That's less than the actual rate, but they wouldn't approve it. You know why? Because that's racist. How dare you try to discriminate people based on their skin colour? Yes, discrimination is bad here in Australia. Mostly.